Do you want to become unbreakable? Do you want to rise above every challenge that life throws at you, no matter how brutal or crushing it may seem? I'm here to tell you this strength doesn't come from physical power alone. True strength comes from your mind, your will, and your unshakable determination to never give up. To become unbreakable, you must forge yourself through fire, transforming every setback into an opportunity. Resilience is born from adversity. It is not inherited, not gifted, not passed down in bloodlines, or bought with money. Resilience is carved, etched, and hammered into the soul through trial, pain, and persistence. Think about it. Every time you've been knocked down, every time life has cornered you, every time your world felt like it was falling apart, you had two choices: give up or rise. And if you're still breathing, still pushing, still trying, then whether you realize it or not, you chose to rise. Maybe it was messy. Maybe you stumbled. Maybe you cried when no one was watching. But you stood up again. That is the seed of resilience. Imagine a blade of grass pushing through a crack in the concrete. Think about the weight of the world above it. Tons of pressure, layers of rock, dirt, and pavement. Yet somehow that tiny, fragile thing manages to break through. It doesn't complain. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It just keeps pushing upward, relentlessly. That's what resilience looks like. Life will never stop testing you. Maybe you're working a job you hate just to pay the bills. Maybe you're building a dream that no one believes in but you. Maybe you've lost someone, failed publicly, or been betrayed by people you trusted. It hurts, but pain is part of the process. Adversity is the crucible where resilience is forged. Ask yourself, who do you admire? Is it the person who had everything handed to them? Or the one who started with nothing and built everything? It's the fighters we respect. The ones who didn't quit when they had every reason to. The ones who said, "I will not let this break me." There was a man who trained every single day after breaking his leg because he believed his recovery was not just physical. It was mental. People told him to rest, to slow down, to accept his new limits. But he refused. He said, "If I can move 1 inch today, I'll move 1 inch. If I can do 1 push up, I'll do 1 push up. Because progress is progress. And pain is just a sign that I'm alive." You don't need a perfect environment to grow. Stop waiting for the world to make it easier. It never will. You don't need better weather. You need better focus. You don't need more support. You need more fire. Stop wishing for fewer problems. Build the strength to face them head on. Have you ever watched a blacksmith work? The metal is placed in the fire, burning hot, glowing red. Then it's struck, again and again, with a hammer. Not to destroy it, but to shape it, to refine it, to turn it into something stronger, sharper, and more useful. That's you. Life is the fire. Adversity is the hammer. And every time it hits, you get tougher, wiser, more unbreakable. Think of the single mom working 2 jobs, coming home exhausted, still helping her kids with homework, still dreaming of a better life. She doesn't complain. She doesn't stop, because she knows what's at stake. That's resilience. Think of the student who's been told they're not smart enough, not good enough, but stays up every night studying, proving everyone wrong. That's resilience. Resilience doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It means you don't surrender to it. It means you understand that suffering is temporary, but giving up lasts forever. It means looking your problems in the eye and saying, "You're not stronger than me," when the storms come, and they will. You have to be like the tree with deep roots. The wind can bend you, but it won't break you. Because what's inside you is stronger than what's trying to take you down. Remind yourself every day you've survived 100% of your worst moments. You're still standing, and that means you are stronger than you think. Every scar you carry is a reminder that you fought, you healed, and you grew. Stop hiding your scars. Wear them like armor. They tell your story better than any words ever could. When people see your strength, they should feel your journey. They should feel the fire you walked through to become who you are. Don't wish for an easy life. Wish for the strength to endure a hard one. Because the person who becomes unshakable is the one who learns how to be calm in chaos, focused under pressure, and unstoppable in the face of fear. Remember the day you thought you couldn't go on, and yet here you are. Maybe you're tired, maybe you're unsure, maybe the future looks uncertain, but you're not done. Adversity didn't stop you before, and it won't stop you now. Resilience doesn't shout, it whispers, "I'm not quitting." Every time you fall and rise again, you prove that you're not just surviving, you're evolving. You're becoming the kind of person who bends but never breaks. The kind of person who turns pain into power and doubt into drive. So when life throws the next punch, when it challenges your patience, your faith, your limits, don't ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What am I being prepared for?" Because every adversity carries within it the seed of your next breakthrough. Keep moving. Keep building. Keep becoming. You were not made to be broken. You were made to rise again and again and again. The mind is the ultimate weapon, sharper than any blade, stronger than any muscle, more powerful than any army. It is the silent force behind every victory and the unseen enemy in every defeat. Everything you see around you, every empire, every invention, every revolution, started as a thought, one single idea. And that idea, when forged with belief and discipline, changed the world. But here's the truth. Your mind can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. It can push you past all limits, or it can bury you under your own doubts. The question is, who's in control? Most people walk through life like prisoners, not behind bars, but trapped inside their own thoughts, chained to fear, crippled by insecurity, paralyzed by the opinions of others. They wake up already defeated because their mind has been trained to expect failure. Not by the world, but by their own inner dialogue. You have to take back control. You have to master the battlefield inside before you ever expect to win outside. Because once you train the mind, the body follows. The actions follow. The success follows. Imagine waking up at 5 a.m. every day when your body screams for sleep. Imagine going to the gym when you're sore, when you're tired, when the rain is pouring and comfort calls your name. The weak mind says, "Rest, you deserve it." The strong mind says, "Move, this is where strength is built." And that voice, that inner dialogue, determines your destiny. There's a man who was once 300 pounds, depressed alone, working a dead-end job. One day, he looked in the mirror and didn't recognize himself. Not physically, but mentally. He said, "This is not who I am." He didn't join a gym. He didn't hire a coach. He started by walking around the block, then 2 blocks, then a mile. Then he started running, and every day his body changed. But more importantly, his mind transformed. Now, He's an ultra marathon runner, not because of genetics, not because of talent, but because he rewired the voice in his head. He made his mind his weapon. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need to believe in yourself enough to get started, to silence the noise that says, you can't, to answer it with, watch me. Because once the mind believes, everything else bends to that belief. Look around. Most people quit not because they're weak, but because their mind tells them the pain isn't worth it. But pain is the price for progress. Every rep in the gym, every hour of study, every failed attempt is building you mentally. You're not just getting better at the task, you're hardening your will. That's why discipline is the ultimate freedom. When you train your mind to do what's hard, you unlock doors others don't even see. The world gives up when it gets hard. You push harder. The world cries when it gets cold. You stay still and breathe through it. Because you know, nothing is more powerful than a focused, trained, disciplined mind. There's a fighter who lost 5 matches in a row. People laughed. Critics said he was done. Even his coach doubted him, but he didn't listen. He locked himself in the gym, shadowboxed in front of a mirror every night, visualizing the win. He didn't just train his body, he trained his thoughts. He whispered to himself, I am not finished. And one day, under those lights, with the crowd screaming, he came back. Not because he was the strongest, not because he had better technique, but because he had already won the fight in his mind long before he stepped into the ring. Your thoughts shape your reality. Feed your mind fear, and you will live afraid. Feed your mind doubt, and you will always hesitate. But feed your mind courage, and you will move mountains. Feed it grit, and you will walk through fire. Feed it belief, and you will become unstoppable. People ask, how do I get motivated? The answer is you don't wait for motivation. You build mental discipline. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the fire that keeps burning long after the spark is gone. When everyone else is sleeping, you keep working. When they say it's impossible, you say, let me prove you wrong. When failure knocks you down, you smile and say, I needed that. You can be tired. You can be broke. You can be broken. But if your mind is strong, you are still in the fight. The mind doesn't care about your circumstances. It only responds to your command. So take command, train it, challenge it, stretch it. Wake up every day and sharpen your mind like a blade. Read, reflect, grind, do the uncomfortable. Sit in silence with your thoughts and learn to control them before they control you. No enemy outside can destroy you if there's no enemy within. So armor up, sharpen your focus, speak life to yourself. Tell yourself who you are, not who the world says you should be. And once your mind is aligned with your mission, there's not a force on earth that can stop you. Never settle for weakness. Not in your body, not in your mind, not in your spirit. Because the moment you accept weakness, you invite it into every corner of your life. Weakness doesn't knock on the front door and ask permission to come in. It creeps in through the cracks, through the excuses, through every moment you say, this is good enough, when deep down you know it's not. Look at how weakness shows up in daily life. You hit the snooze button one morning, just 10 more minutes. What's the harm, right? But the next day, it's 15. The day after that, you don't even set an alarm. Before you know it, you've lost control, not just of your mornings, but of your discipline. You've told your mind, comfort is more important than growth, and your mind listens. It adapts. It starts to crave the easy road. And once that becomes your habit, it infects everything. You go to the gym and the weights feel heavy. Your arms ache. Your breathing is rough. And that voice in your head whispers, "You've done enough. Just skip today." That's weakness begging for mercy. And every time you give in, you strengthen that voice. But when you push through, when you say no, we're not done yet, you kill that weakness a little more. You build something inside that no one can take from you. People think weakness is just physical, but weakness is when you apologize for your dreams because others are too afraid to chase theirs. Weakness is when you smile to keep the peace while your soul is screaming. Weakness is when you settle for a job you hate, a relationship that drains you, a life that's less than what you know you were made for, just because the fight to change feels too hard. There's a man who worked as a janitor for 10 years. Every day, he scrubbed floors, emptied trash, cleaned up after people who never even looked him in the eye. But he had a dream to become a chef, not just cook, but open his own restaurant. Every night after work, he would go home, study recipes, cook with whatever he could find, test flavors, fail, improve. People laughed. "You're just a janitor," they said. "Who do you think you are?" But he didn't settle. He kept sharpening his skills, and one day, he saved enough to open a food truck. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't glamorous, but it was his. Now, that food truck is a chain, not because he had money, not because he had luck, but because he refused to bow down to weakness. He refused to accept the life others said he was meant to live. If you ever catch yourself saying, "This is just how I am," stop. Because that's the voice of someone who's given up the fight. That's the voice of someone who's chosen to settle instead of evolve. Who told you you can't change? Who told you you were meant to stay stuck? The truth is, every single day you wake up, you have a choice. You can feed your strength, or you can feed your weakness. But you can't feed both. When you settle for weakness, you hand over your power. You let your emotions drive the car. And emotions lie. They tell you you're tired when you're not. They tell you you're done when you've still got more. They convince you to quit when the breakthrough is just around the corner. You want something? Then stop entertaining weakness like it's a guest in your home. Throw it out. Slam the door. And when it tries to come back, because it always does, remind yourself of what's at stake. Your dream, your legacy, your future. Look at the lion. It doesn't negotiate with the fear of the hunt. It doesn't hesitate when it's time to move. It doesn't second guess itself. It's built to dominate. And so are you. But domination starts inside. It starts with a decision to stop compromising, to stop explaining, to stop waiting for the right time. The right time is the moment you decide weakness is no longer welcome. Discipline doesn't come naturally. Strength isn't born, it's earned. Every drop of sweat, every moment you want to quit, but don't. Every time you choose the hard path over the easy one, you are carving strength into your bones, and the world respects strength. Not the loud, fake kind, but the quiet, relentless kind that shows up every day, even when no one's watching. You want to be unbreakable? Then stop treating yourself like you're fragile. Stop crumbling at the first sign of pressure. Pressure is not your enemy. pressure reveals the truth. And the truth is, you are stronger than you think. You are more capable than you've been told. But only if you stop settling for the version of yourself that hides behind comfort. There's a young woman who wanted to be a pilot. Everyone told her, that's a man's job. Even her own family laughed. She studied anyway, failed her first exam, took it again, failed her flight test, took it again, cried alone at night, woke up, studied harder. Now she's flying commercial jets across the world, not because it was easy, not because she felt confident every step of the way, but because she made a promise to herself. I will not let weakness write my story. That's the kind of fire you need. The kind that says, I may feel tired, but I won't stop. I may feel fear, but I won't fold. I may fall, but I will rise, because strength isn't the absence of struggle. It's the decision to keep going through it. And every time you choose that path, you rise above the world's expectations. You become your own force, your own standard, your own weapon. And that, right there, is what separates the average from the unbreakable. Pain is temporary, but growth is forever. Remember that the next time you're down on your knees, gasping for air, wondering if it's even worth it. Because the pain you feel today is the price you pay for strength tomorrow. It's the tuition fee for greatness, and no one graduates from the school of life without scars. Think about it. When you go to the gym and lift weights, what happens? Your muscles tear, you feel the burn, your body screams. But that tearing, that pain, is the exact trigger your body needs to rebuild, to grow stronger, to adapt. Now apply that to life. When your heart breaks, when your dreams collapse, when people walk out on you, that's life tearing your soul a little, so it can stretch, expand, and become more than it was before. But only if you keep going. There was once a boy who was bullied every day at school. They called him names. They beat him down, both physically and mentally. He'd go home, lock himself in the bathroom, look at his reflection and cry. He hated himself, hated how small and weak he felt. But one day, something snapped. He stopped asking, why me? And started whispering, watch me. He started running. He started reading. He started punching a bag in his garage like the world had thrown every insult into it. Years passed. That same boy now stands in front of thousands, teaching kids how to defend themselves, not just with their fists, but with their minds, because he turned pain into power. He used it. He didn't let it define him. He let it refine him. Pain teaches you lessons that comfort never could. When you're comfortable, you don't question things. You don't push limits. You don't evolve. But pain forces you to grow. It shakes you awake. It says, there's more to you than this. When you lose a loved one, you suddenly realize how short life is. When you fail at something you worked so hard for, you realize what truly matters. Pain clears the fog. It brings focus. And the thing about pain is, it's honest. It doesn't lie to you. It doesn't sugarcoat things. It tells you exactly where you're weak. It exposes the cracks. And in doing that, it gives you the opportunity to fill them with something unbreakable. Grit, wisdom, resilience. Do you know how a sword is made? It's beaten, burned, folded again and again under intense heat. The steel screams, it bends, it breaks. But in the end, it becomes a weapon. Sharp, precise, deadly. Now think about your life. Every hardship you've faced, every heartbreak, every failure, every betrayal. That's the fire. That's the hammer. And every time you keep going, every time you rise, you are being forged. You are becoming that sword, not soft, not dull, but powerful. A woman once started her business with just $100. She had kids to feed. Bills piling up. People laughed at her. Banks rejected her. And for 3 years, she failed. Cried, worked 18 hours a day. Pain was her breakfast. Humiliation was her dinner. But she kept learning. She kept evolving. Now, she owns multiple companies. Not because she avoided pain, but because she sat with it, learned from it, and let it fuel her. Pain is a trainer, the kind that doesn't go easy on you, the kind that wakes you up at 5 a.m., pushes you past your limits, and doesn't care if you cry. But when you make it through, you look back and realize it wasn't trying to break you. It was trying to build you. People want the success, the fame, the respect, but they don't want the suffering. They want the body, but not the sore muscles. They want the love, but not the heartbreak. They want the dream, but not the failure. It doesn't work like that. You can't skip pain and expect to keep the reward, because without pain, there is no transformation. Remember the caterpillar. To become a butterfly, it has to lock itself inside a cocoon. And inside that cocoon, it melts completely. It literally dissolves. It becomes unrecognizable, and it hurts, but it's necessary. Because from that destruction, beauty is born. Flight is born. You might be in your cocoon right now, lost, unsure, hurting. But that's not the end. That's the becoming. That's the part no one sees on social media. The silent suffering, the sleepless nights, the internal wars. But if you hold on, if you push through, what emerges on the other side will fly higher than anything you've known before. There's a fighter who once said, "You don't know who you are until you've been punched in the face." And he was right. Life will hit you hard. It will knock the wind out of you. But it's in those moments, when your back is against the wall, when there's no one to cheer you on, that you find your real self, not the polished version, not the smiling, filtered version, the raw, primal, unshakable you. And once you meet that version of yourself, the one who kept going when everything said stop, you'll never fear pain again, because you'll understand it. You'll respect it. You'll know it's not your enemy, but your partner in growth. You'll realize that the pain didn't break you. It built the parts of you that will never break again. Build discipline, not motivation. Motivation is like the wind. It comes and goes, unpredictable and unreliable. One day you wake up feeling like a lion, ready to conquer everything in your path. And the next day, you can barely get out of bed. That's because motivation is an emotion, and emotions are fleeting. Discipline, though, discipline is different. Discipline is the steel framework beneath the surface. It doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if it's raining. It doesn't ask how you feel. It just gets the job done. Think of a man who wakes up at 5 a.m. every single day, not because he feels like it, but because he made a decision. There are mornings he hates it, mornings when his body aches, mornings when his mind whispers, sleep a little more. But he gets up anyway, not out of motivation, but because of discipline. Because discipline is a promise you make to yourself and keep no matter what. Imagine a student who wants to top the class. On the first day of the semester, they feel pumped. They set goals, make plans, highlight books. But as days pass, that spark fades, distractions appear. Friends call, social media tempts, motivation weakens. But if that student has discipline, they'll study even when they don't want to. They'll show up even when tired. They'll say no to the party, no to the scroll, and yes to the grind. And at the end of the road, when results come in, it's not motivation that gets the credit. It's discipline. A man once trained for a marathon without ever posting a single update online. He didn't tell his friends. He didn't look for applause. He just ran every day, rain or shine, sore or strong. He laced up his shoes and hit the pavement, not because he felt like a champion, but because he committed to becoming one. And when he crossed the finish line, there were no cameras, no confetti. Just the quiet victory of self-mastery. That's what discipline brings. Not fame, but freedom. Motivation is what starts the fire, but discipline is what keeps it burning. And life, real life, isn't about short bursts of inspiration. It's about showing up again and again and again. When no one's watching, when there's no music playing, when the crowd has gone home. That's when discipline speaks. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't skip it just because you're not motivated. You do it because it's part of your identity. That's what discipline turns habits into. Identity. You don't go to the gym because you're motivated. You go because that's who you are. The disciplined version of you doesn't negotiate with laziness. It doesn't debate with procrastination. It acts automatically, relentlessly. Discipline is what makes a writer finish a book when the ideas run dry. It's what makes a boxer train in the dark while others sleep. It's what makes an entrepreneur keep building even after 10 failed launches. People only see the success, the book, the championship, the business. They don't see the nights of silence, the hours of repetition, the pain of consistency. That's the invisible grind, the discipline. There was a kid who wanted to play the violin. At first, it was fun. Music flowed, praise came. But after a few weeks, the fun faded. The progress slowed. Frustration kicked in. Most kids quit there. But he didn't. He practiced every day, even when the tunes sounded awful, even when his fingers hurt. 10 years later, that same kid plays in a symphony. People call him gifted. They don't know his gift wasn't talent. It was discipline. Discipline is the difference between wishing and achieving. Anyone can wish. Anyone can dream. But very few are willing to suffer for those dreams. Discipline is doing it when it's boring, when it's hard, when it's lonely. It's showing up for yourself even when no one else will. A woman once said, "I don't rely on motivation anymore. It's too fragile." She was a mother, a nurse, and a runner. She didn't have time to be motivated. She had to feed her kids, heal patients, train for races. Discipline was her fuel. Every morning, she ran before sunrise, not for abs, not for medals, but to remind herself that she was still in control. Discipline gave her power in a world that tried to take it away. And that's what discipline really is. Power. Not over others, but over yourself. It's how you become the master of your own fate. Motivation is loud. It shouts and cheers. But discipline is quiet. It whispers, "Do it anyway." And that whisper, repeated daily, builds a legacy. Motivation might get you started, but discipline will take you to the finish line. Because life doesn't reward those who feel like doing the work. It rewards those who do the work, regardless of how they feel. And when you train yourself to act without waiting to feel ready, you become unstoppable. You become unbreakable. when the dust settles and the crowd is gone, it won't be the loudest voice that remains. It will be the one who kept walking, the one who didn't quit, the one who embraced the silence and kept pushing. You have to understand that greatness isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you forge in fire. The fire of failure, the fire of loneliness, the fire of repetition. You don't become unbreakable by avoiding the storm. You become unbreakable by standing in the middle of it and refusing to fall. Some people will look at you and say you've changed, but they won't understand what you had to go through. The nights you doubted yourself, the mornings you didn't want to move, the battles you fought silently. They won't see the discipline that shaped you. They won't see the sacrifices you made when no one was watching. But that's okay, because you weren't doing it for applause. You were doing it for the fire in your soul that whispered, "You're meant for more. Pain will test you. Fear will try to stop you. Doubt will knock on your door. But when you've built discipline like steel, you don't flinch. You look fear in the eye and say, I am the storm. You look pain in the face and say, I eat struggle for breakfast. Because the truth is, everyone wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. Everyone wants the crown, but no one wants the grind. You don't rise by accident. You rise on purpose, remember. A diamond is just coal that refused to break under pressure. And pressure is a privilege. Pressure is the proof that something great is being born inside you. When life gets harder, you get stronger. When the mountain grows taller, you climb higher. Because you weren't built for comfort. You were built for conquest. There will be days you want to quit. There will be moments where the weight feels too heavy. But champions are not born in comfort. They are born in chaos, forged in the dark, tested in silence, and revealed in the light. You don't need a crowd. You need a reason. A why so strong that no excuse can survive in its presence. You need to wake up every day and remind yourself, I don't stop when I'm tired. I stop when I'm done. And when you feel weak, remember this. Weakness is a feeling, not your identity. Feelings pass. Identity lasts. So act like the warrior you are, even when your legs shake. Move like the king you're becoming, even when the crown feels too heavy. Speak like the legend you are, even when no one is listening. Because every step, every drop of sweat, every quiet sacrifice is writing your story, and the world may never understand your path. They may laugh at your discipline. They may mock your silence. But one day, when they see your strength, they'll ask how you did it. And you'll smile, because you'll know they weren't with you in the trenches. They didn't see you bleed. They didn't see you crawl. They didn't see you break and rebuild. They didn't see the nights you cried and still showed up in the morning. You will rise. Not because you were lucky, but because you refused to quit. Not because you felt ready, but because you decided to move anyway. Not because it was easy, but because you became stronger than your excuses. Because in the end, it's not about motivation, it's about movement. It's not about applause, it's about alignment. It's not about having time, it's about making time. Every day, no matter what, so let them doubt you. Let them laugh. Let the world sleep on your potential. Just don't you dare sleep on yourself. Because the day you decide to never back down again, that's the day the universe starts moving out of your way. That's the day the world begins to notice. Because that's the day an unbreakable soul is born. And nothing is more dangerous than a human being who has made peace with the pain and chosen to rise anyway. Keep showing up. Keep swinging. Keep grinding in the dark. Because one day, the light will hit you, and when it does, the world will see what you always knew deep down, that you were never ordinary. You were always chosen. You were always unbreakable.